I'm Carol, and my father was John, and he was 37 when he died. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia in the 50s, and it was mistaken when he was very unwell with a very acute, obvious medical problem. He was in the Royal Air Force for 2 years, and he travelled the world. One of the most happiest, content times in his life. He saw so many things, he experienced so many things, he was with so many different people, and he felt perhaps part of something. And he came back after the 2 years service, and that's more or less when his problems started. Depression, sleepiness, probably a mixture of the side effects of the medication. It's more just being sedated. Most weekends he slept. So my mum would have to go out on her own with me. It was most of the time that he slept. It kind of it numbed him. Yeah. There was a flu epidemic in 1969, and he was very unwell with it, and it turned to pneumonia. The doctors that came, they wouldn't listen to my mum. They were convinced it was his nerves, and that was it. It was on paper, it was recorded. He had a nervous condition, and that was it. They brought an ambulance to take him to the local mental hospital. And she pleaded with them, don't do it. Please don't take him there. Take him to the general where he can get treated. But they wouldn't take him. And he was dead within 24 hours. He choked to death. His epiglottis swelled up and blocked his airway, and there was no way that any air could get through. So he must have struggled and struggled and then just died. All it needed was a simple tracheotomy, and he would have taken the first breath and lived. And it wasn't a mental health issue, but he was delirious, and so they interpreted his delirium from a fever as a mental health problem. I do feel that my father's death was absolutely 100% preventable. I remember visiting the doctor's surgery that was our family surgery 20 years after the death of my father, and the GP told me that if there'd been a more senior doctor on call that day, that he would probably still be alive today. Those were his very words. He could still be here today. He was a year younger than my mother, and she's still here. He could still be in the very next room. A driving force in me that from a very early age I wanted a large family. I didn't have brothers and sisters, and I was fortunate enough to have 8 children, and they have each other, and that's, to me, the most important thing in the world. My father and I would have shared so much together. We would have, I love walking. I love being outside. I love the countryside. We would have done so much together. But so would my mum. They would have shared that together. It was stolen, and you can't get those years back.